Jai Shri Ram. We come to Canto 54. The summary of the canto: set out on his journey for the Dandak forest with Sita and Lakshman. Sri Ram reaches at dusk the hermitage of sage Bharadwaj in the vicinity of the confluence of the holy Ganga and Yamuna rivers. Paying due honors to Sri Ram and his party, the sage recommends Chitrakoot as the fittest place for him to sojourn in. Spending the night in discourses on various topics with him, the sage grants him leave early next morning to depart from Chitrakoot. So now we start. Having spent the beautiful night under that big tree, the party for their part set out from that place when the sun had clearly risen. Traveling across a fairly extensive forest, they proceeded in the direction of that region where the Yamuna rushes to meet the Ganga, associated with the name of Emperor Bhagirath, who had the credit of bringing down the stream of the terrestrial plane by the dint of his devotion and austerities in order to purify the ashes of his departed great-grand uncles. Beholding here and there various tracts of land and soul-captivating regions never seen before, the illustrious travellers moved on, gazing on the various trees laden with blossoms. While travelling at ease, Sri Ram said to Lakshman, when the day had just ended, "Behold, O son of Sumitra, agreeable fragrant smoke, the emblem of the glorious god of fire near Prayag. From this I conclude the sage Bharadwaj is near about. We have surely reached the confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna rivers, for the noise produced by the clashing of the waters of the two streams is heard. Logs of wood hewn by men living by the produce of the forest, as also the trees of various kinds thus dismembered, are seen in the hermitage here." Walking at ease, the aforesaid two archers reached the outskirts of the sage's dwelling in the space intervening the Ganga and Yamuna while the sun was going down. Having reached the precincts of the hermitage and scaring the beasts and birds of the locality by his very appearance as a bowman and covering the intervening distance which could be covered in a short while, Sri Ram for his part approached the hermitage of Bharadwaj. Arriving at the hermitage, the two valiant princes for their part, who longed for a sight of the sage and were accompanied by Sita, then halted at some distance awaiting his permission to see him. Eventually entering the hut occupied by the sage after obtaining his permission through some pupil and beholding the high-souled sage of rigid vows who had acquired omniscience through ascesis and sat absorbed in meditation in the midst of hosts of his pupils, having poured oblations into the sacred fire, the celebrated and highly blessed Sri Ram with Lakshman and Sita greeted him with folded hands. Nay, Sri Ram, the eldest brother of Lakshman, introduced himself to the sage in the following words: "We are Ram and Lakshman, sons of Emperor Dashrath, O venerable sage. Here is my blessed and irreproachable wife, a princess of the Videha kingdom and daughter of King Janak, who has followed me to the lonely forest suited for religious austerities. While I was being exiled by my father, this my beloved younger brother, Lakshman, of firm vows, has also followed me to the forest. Ordered by our father, O venerable sage, we shall retire to a forest suited for austerities and shall practice virtue alone there, living on roots and fruits only. Hearing the aforesaid submission of the sagacious prince, Sri Ram, sage Bharadwaj, whose mind is given to piety, thereupon offered to him by way of a present due to an honored guest a bull as well as water to wash his hands with as a preliminary to the hospitality that was to follow. The sage, who had practiced austerities, offered them delicacies of all descriptions, prepared from wild roots and fruits, and also arranged accommodation for them. Honoring with words of welcome Sri Ram, who had approached him by slow stages, pausing a little at intervals and then advancing meticulously out of respect, the said sage Bharadwaj, seated in the company of beasts and birds as well as of hermits all round, now addressed the following words consistent with righteousness to Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu, who had since taken his seat after accepting the aforesaid hospitality offered by the sage. In fact, I have long since been expecting your arrival, O sign of Kakushta, and your gratuitous exile has been heard of by me. This open stretch of land at the confluence of the two great rivers is not only secluded but sacred and lovely too. Dwell you here comfortably. Addressed in these words by Bharadwaj, Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu, for his part, who was devoted to the good of all, replied in the following agreeable words. The people of the city as well as the state of Ayodhya, O venerable sir, are proximate to this place, finding me easy to behold at this place. People keen to gaze on Sita, a princess of the Videha kingdom, as well as on myself, I presume will frequent this hermitage. For this reason, I do not relish my sojourn here. Pray, therefore, look for some excellent site for a hermitage in some lonely place, O venerable sir, where Sita, daughter of King Janak, who deserves every comfort, may find delight. Hearing this pious submission of Sri Ram, the great sage Bharadwaj, for his part, made the following answer, pointing the place sought by Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu. 60 miles from this place, O dear son, lies a sacred mountain on which you take up your abode, which is inhabited by great rishis and is charming to look at and has a number of offshoots. It is infested by the black species of monkeys with a long tail of the size of a cow tail, is haunted by apes and bears, is known by the name of Chitrakut, and closely resembles the Gandhamadham mountain in beauty. So long as man beholds the peaks of the Chitrakut hill, he devotes himself entirely to the various acts and never sets his mind on sin. Having spent 100 winters in austerities, as though in sport on that mountain, many a seer with a head hoary through age as a bare skull ascended to heaven. I consider that mountain to be very lonely and comfortable place for you to live in. Else dwell with me here at the confluence of the Ganga and the Yamuna for the period of the exile. The celebrated sage Bharadwaj entertained his aforesaid beloved guest Sri Ram with his consort Sita and with his younger brother Lakshman, delighting them with all desired objects. While Sri Ram, having approached that great seer at Prayag, the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna, was talking with him on various topics, the delightful night arrived. And greatly fatigued, Sri Ram, who was accompanied by Sita and the third, Lakshman being the second, all deserved all comforts, happily spent that night at the lovely hermitage of Bharadwaj. The night having ended in dawn, Sri Ram, a tiger among men, approached and spoke as follows to sage Bharadwaj of resplendent glory. We have lodged tonight at your hermitage, O venerable sir. Pray allow us to proceed to the place fixed for our abode now, O sage, given to truthfulness. That night having come to an end, Bharadwaj, when requested as above, replied for his part, they say, as follows: proceed gladly to Chitrakut, rich in honey, roots and fruits. I deem it a fit place for your abode, O Ram, possessed of great strength. Repair you to that well-known, sacred and lovely mountain Chitrakut, which is adorned with clusters of trees of even description and frequented by kinnars and nagas, is rendered charming by the cries of peacocks, and is infested with lordly elephants and abounds in roots and fruits. Since herds of elephants as well as troops of deer roam about in the sylvan region, there you will behold them, O sign of Raghu, as well as rivers, cascades, peaks of mountains, fissures in rocks, caves, and rivulets, which will delight your mind as you roam about in the woods with Sita. Reaching the agreeable and highly blessed mountain, which entertains visitors with the notes of the overjoyed Titibha bird and cuckoo, is most delightful because of its many deer and elephants in rut, and is fit for habitation. Take up your abode on it. Thus ends Canto 54 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Now we come to Canto 55. Sage Bharadwaj tells Ram and Lakshman, even as they set out on their journey to Chitrakoot, the route by which they should proceed. Accompanied by Sita, Sri Ram and Lakshman crossed the Yamuna on a raft prepared by themselves. In the evening, they halt on the bank of Yamuna along with Sita, who is rejoiced to get fruits and blossoms of her liking. Having spent the night at the hermitage of Sage Bharadwaj and greeting the great seer, the two princes, Sri Ram and Lakshman, the subduers of their foes, forthwith proceeded in the direction of the said mountain. Nay, perceiving the three travellers about to start on their journey, that great seer too, so the tradition goes, performed a religious rite, ensuring their safe journey, scattering boiled rice on the ground and invoking blessings through repetition of certain sacred texts, in the same way as a father would bless his own sons and daughter-in-law. Then that eminent sage Bharadwaj, who was invested with great spiritual glory, proceeded to instruct Sri Ram, who was possessed of unfailing valor, as follows. Reaching the confluence of the Ganga and the Yamuna, the two jewels among men should follow the river Yamuna, which has taken a westerly course for some distance due to the great rush of waters of the Ganga. Then, approaching the Yamuna, turned in an opposite direction and carefully perceiving in it a passage across the river too much frequented, O sign of Raghu, cross you the river Yamuna, the deity presiding over which is the daughter of the sun god, after preparing a raft. Then, approaching an extensive banyan tree full of dark green leaves, and therefore going by the name of Shama, nay, surrounded by many other trees and visited by Siddhas, Sita should, joining her palms, offer prayers to the deity presiding over the trees for your safe return to Ayodhya. Again, duly reaching the foot of the aforesaid tree, she should halt there a while in the event of her feeling fatigued, or else pass beyond it. After walking a distance of only 2 miles from that tree and beholding the Nilvana interspersed with Salaki and Jujube trees and charming with bamboo standing on the banks of the Yamuna, will be found that delightful way to Chitrakoot, which has frequently been visited by me, marked with smoothness and devoid of forest fires. Having thus pointed out the way to Chitrakoot and being urged by Sri Ram to return after he had greeted the sage and said, I shall follow your instructions, the great seer Bharadwaj duly returned. The aforesaid sage having returned, Sri Ram said to Lakshman, may prosperity attend on you. We must have done meritorious deeds in the past, in that the sage has been compassionate to us. Talking as aforesaid and placing Sita definitely ahead, the two high-minded tigers among men headed towards the river Yamuna. Reaching the bank of the river Yamuna, which flowed in a swift current, the princely travellers for their part fell pondering, keen as they were to cross speedily the waters of the river. The two brothers then prepared a fairly big raft consisting of a number of wooden logs placed side by side, overspread with dry bamboos and covered all over with the fragrant roots of Usira plant. Then, cutting shoots of canes and twigs of the rose apple tree, the powerful Lakshman made a comfortable seat for Sita. Then the celebrated Sri Ram, son of Dashrath, helped Sita, his beloved consort, who vied with Sri, goddess of fortune, of unimaginable beauty and was feeling a bit abashed, ascend the raft. Sri Ram also carefully placed on the aforesaid raft the pair of her garments as well as her jewels, as also the shovel and basket beside her. Having first enabled Sita to ascend the raft, holding the structure themselves, the two sons of Dashrath, full of delight, now cautiously began to row the raft. Arrived in midstream, Sita, for her part, saluted the deity presiding over the stream and prayed to her as follows: "May I safely cross your waters with my husband and brother-in-law, O glorious lady, and let my husband fulfill his vow of spending 14 years in exile in the forest. When Sri Ram safely returns to the city of Ayodhya, ruled over by the Ikshvakus, I shall propitiate you by offering 1,000 cows and 101 articles of worship which cannot be procured even by gods." Even when praying to the river Kalindi in the aforesaid word with folded hands, Sita, for her part, who was possessed of a most excellent complexion, forthwith approached the southern bank of the Yamuna itself. Thus they duly crossed by means of a raft the rippling and swift-going Yamuna river. The daughter of the sun god, fringed with numerous trees, sprung on its banks. Leaving the raft in the midst of those trees and departing from the forest on the bank of Yamuna, they reached the cool banyan tree covered with green leaves and accordingly bearing the name of Shama. Nay, going very near the banyan tree, Sita bowed low to it and said, "Hail to you, O gigantic tree! Let my husband fulfill his vow of the forest life and let us see once more Mother Kaushalya as well as the illustrious Sumitra." So saying and joining her palms, the high-minded Sita went round the banyan tree clockwise. Seeing his beloved and agreeable consort Sita of unimpeachable conduct, offering prayers to the deity presiding over the banyan tree, Sri Ram now said to Lakshman, "Taking Sita with you, walk you in the van, O Lakshman, younger brother of Bharat. Equipped with arms, I shall follow in the rear, O jewel among men. Offer to Sita, a princess of Videha clan, whatever fruit or flowers the daughter of Janak asks for, and in which her mind finds delight." Beholding every single tree, shrub, or creeper charming with blossoms that she had never seen before, the lady questioned Sri Ram about it. Seized with a flurry on hearing Sita's command, Lakshman fetched lovely twigs of various trees bearing bunches of flowers. The daughter of Sri Janak rejoiced to gaze at that time on the river distinguished with charming sands and waters and rendered noisy by swans and cranes. Having walked only a couple of miles from that place and killing many a consecrated deer, the two brothers, Sri Ram and Lakshman, roamed about in the forest on the banks of Yamuna. Having diverted themselves in the charming forest, made noisy by flocks of peacocks and infested with monkeys and elephants, and reaching a level ground on the banks of the river, the princely travellers who wore an undepressed look quickly sought a tree fit for abode. Thus ends Canto 55 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.